and get this started. Welcome everyone to our event today. Super excited about the AI powered CS org. We have a fantastic group of experts here to speak on AI in customer success. And I'm really honored to host this event through CS Insider. If you don't know about who we are, which you should know since you registered through us, we are a newsletter and community for CSMs and CS leaders. And we're just really thankful to be able to host this event with these four wonderful leaders in CS. Today's session is super jam-packed. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to be really quick to hand it over to start the conversation. But just know that if you have to dip out early, this will be recorded, and we're actually going to be posting this in the recording in our community by hopefully tomorrow with the recording, and as well as some additional ways you can ask questions and connect with the speakers today. So no worries about that. We expect around 100 or so people to join. So we're going to have a lot of people. What we're going to ask is make sure you don't unmute yourself. There is going to be time for questions, which I'll go through the agenda, but there's a better way to ask your question, and that is through the form that we've created, which I'm going to post here. The form here is a place that you can ask your questions that we're going to get to, whether it's during this event or in our community platform later on. So I'm going to post this link here 1 second in the chat. And you can submit any questions that you want to have the panelists answer now or possibly later on in our community. Please put them there. So why are we running today's session? Well, there's a lot obviously going on with AI. It's evolving very quickly, and a lot of organizations are still trying to figure out how to leverage this technology. You've seen a lot of demos, you've heard a lot of promises about AI, right? But what are the actual real world examples of teams using it and using it well? That's why we're running today's session, to talk about those, to answer your questions and set a vision for how we should leverage this technology as it continues to evolve very rapidly. I'm not sure if they announced it yet, but like things like Gemini 3 is probably going to be launching very soon here. So for me, it's like almost like Christmas. Anytime a new model launches, I'm always like, I want to try it out and see what's going on because it's so fun. So we live in very interesting times. But today's session is the way it's going to work is we're going to talk about those cases that I mentioned, how they're using AI in their organizations, whether it's an early stage go-to-market kind of strategy or a CS operations and personalization at scale strategy, and just the future of AI. So we're going to talk about those. And then we're also going to have a rapid fire Q&A. We have a lot of questions that we're going to go through fairly quickly. But again, any questions we don't get to, we're going to post the recording and an AMA where you can ask your questions to the panelists and have them answered via kind of like a Reddit style AMA in our community. So keep an eye out for that. And then we'll have some closing remarks. Okay, so let me introduce our speakers and then we'll jump right into it. First off is Andrea. Andrea and I talked about running this event just a few weeks ago, and I'm super excited that I connected with her to talk about this and to get this organized. So thank you, Andrea, for doing this. She is the founder and CEO of CS Impact, a consulting and advisory firm that helps B2B SaaS companies between 50 million and 150 million in revenue. She helps them transform customer success into a growth engine. CS Impact partners with leadership teams to align strategy and execution around customer outcomes, driving retention, expansion, and long-term value. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you.
LeeRon is the VP of Customer Success at Align and long-term operator obsessed with turning CS into a revenue engine. She builds AI-powered post-sales systems that cut noise, expose truth, and help teams scale smarter without losing the human edge. Her work has influenced how go-to-market teams adopt AI in the real world, from high-velocity PLG to enterprise expansion. Welcome, LeeRon. Theeba is a hands-on CS leader who loves building strong, supportive teams and creating simple, scalable processes that work. She's big on coaching, quality, and making sure both customers and CSMs feel set up for success. Outside of work, you can find her on a road bike, hunting down a new route, or pushing up one more hill. She's also always planning her next trip. Traveling keeps her energized, curious, and grounded. Theeba, where is your favorite place you've ever traveled to?
That is a very good question. I actually recently just came back from Thailand, and so Chiang Mai is my favorite city so far.
Well, I'm ashamed to announce that I've never traveled outside the US, but we are going to Edinburgh, hopefully, in
Ah,
the
so fun.
winter for our first trip. So excited
Thanks.
for that. And then we have Kate. Kate is the founder and CEO of MAKR, where she's bringing smart AI transformation to CS teams. She spent her career shipping customer experiences across multiple different organizations like or Virgin, HubSpot, and most recently led customer success at Comsor, an award-winning agent builder with work featured at New York Tech Week and on stage at Inbound. She blends operational rigor with AI and CS fluency. So we're going to post their LinkedIn URLs in the chat so you can definitely everyone connect with them, follow them, send them a friend request or a connection request. Wow, I'm old. And make sure that you follow up if you have any questions as well. But they post a lot of great stuff on LinkedIn. So please do that. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Andrea.
Thanks, Brandon. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited that you are here. I've been looking forward to this session. I put the QR code up here on the screen, so I know Brandon also put it in the chat, put the link for where you can add your questions, but if you would prefer to do that on your phone with the QR code, it's here on the screen. And again, you can put all your questions in there. I'm going to ask our participants some questions at the end that you've already submitted, and then we will be answering questions on the CS Insider site going forward. So you will get answers to those questions. Just a friendly reminder, put your LinkedIn in the chat so others can connect with you, and then connect with all of us on LinkedIn. We would love to meet you. All right, I'm going to kick it off with a poll. So how are you feeling about AI in customer success? So I'm all in. If AI had a jersey, I'd be wearing it. B, looks powerful, deciding if we're besties or just coworkers. C, let's just say I'm keeping a close eye on it. And D, I'll be over here pretending it doesn't exist. So you can put your answers in the chat. How are you feeling about AI in customer success?
And I just launched the poll, so everyone should see that as well.
Very nice. I don't see anyone picking the I'll be over here pretending it doesn't exist. They're probably not in the session if that's the case.
All right, another 10 seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1, and closing the poll.
All right. Most of you are in the looks powerful, deciding if we're besties or just coworkers. Few of you are all in. That's great. And a few of you are keeping an eye on it. Also great. Love that. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? Well, we've got a lot to cover. So I'm going to talk about trends in AI for customer success. LeeRon is going to talk about early stage and go-to-market alignment and AI. Theeba will be talking about digital CS at scale. And finally, Kate will be talking about CS agents and how to get started. Very exciting. Okay, so trends in AI and customer success. Well, one, why am I sharing this with you? Well, I've taken 3 different reports. So I took the State of Customer Success report by the CSC, that's the Customer Success Collective. I took the Ever After Customer Experience report, and I also looked at the Churn Zero report, which I'll show you in a second. And I was looking at trends in AI and customer success. And the bottom line here is really like, you have not been left behind, okay? There is still a lot of white space, meaning that there's still a lot of opportunity to use AI in customer success. So I'll give you just a few stats, but 72% of CS leaders say that AI will be critical to customer success by 2026. So we all agree it is critical. But here's the disconnect. Only 32% have even a single live AI use case in production, and just 3% describe their implementation as extensive. So there's a lot of room here. This tells us that while belief in AI is high in customer success, real operational adoption is still early. And then 48% of CS leaders say they're using generative AI tools like ChatGPT, but what's important is actually how they're using them. So right now, it's mostly for tactical work. So a lot of leaders, CSMs, are using AI to do things like summarize notes and draft customer comms or create training content. And these are helpful uses, but they're not transforming the CS operating model yet. And then finally, only 16% of CS orgs are using AI to automate adoption. 16%, which, I mean, automating adoption is one of the most critical and scalable CS motions. So what I'm trying to convey to you here is that there's a true gap here between what AI is capable of doing and what we're actually doing in customer success. In fact, when I talk with leaders, so customer success leaders, CSMs, one of the most asked questions I get is, how are other leaders and other CSMs using AI? We all want to know what each other is doing. And that's exactly why I wanted to put together this webinar so that we could showcase real examples of how CS is being used. Okay, a few other stats that I want to call out. Again, we're just scratching the surface on AI and customer success. A lot of what we are doing with AI is for basic tasks like call summarization, account research, content creation. But really, far fewer are using AI for voice of the customer feedback, health scoring, predictive revenue, and expansion signals. Also, intent-based outreach or journey orchestration. So we're really just scratching the surface of what AI is capable of. So this is where there is real opportunity. Okay, last slide, the few stats. So I like this one. This comes from the Ever After Customer Experience Report. It shows the top barriers to using AI in customer success. What's really interesting here is data. So data quality stands out as a top barrier for using AI in customer success, particularly for larger organizations. So you see on the far left, you've got the foundational. These are your larger organizations. They're struggling with data quality the most. And all organizations are actually struggling with budget for AI, which I find really interesting because CS teams have gone through a lot of budget contraction, right? In the name of AI. Oh, well, we should be able to do more, right? With AI, and yet the budget isn't there. So I find this really interesting as well. Okay, so here's the bottom line. You have not been left behind, okay? There is a lot of room for us to grow, to use AI, to try it out with new use cases, and to deepen both our understanding and usage of AI in our CS organizations. So there is still time to get on the bus, okay? And so now we want to walk you through some real examples of how AI is being used in customer success. So I'm going to turn it over to LeeRon. LeeRon is going to talk about early stage and go-to-market alignment using AI. Welcome, LeeRon.
Thank you so much, Andrea. And hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of how I think about using AI. I've been building with AI for the past 10 years and LLMs in general for over 17 years. So I'm speaking from experience when I come to you with these warnings, with these signs, and with these real life experiences that I have. I've also have had the honor, privilege to lead customer success and sales organization for 5 fast-growing startups over the last 17 years. And so this is tried and truth. So Andrea showed you a lot of great stats on where things are at. And I'm sure if you're here in this webinar is because you've heard of AI, someone gave you a mandate to figure out how to put AI into your process and into your team. And I'm here today to give you some guidance and some real life advantages into the lessons of how I've done it. So learn from my mistakes, learn from my successes so you don't fall into the same pitfalls. So first of all, I want to start by saying, take a deep breath. Most teams actually don't have an AI problem. What you have is an operating system problem. Your process is inconsistent, and AI is only going to amplify that. Your data is messy, and AI is going to magnify that. Teams are not winning because they've got an advantage with an AI. Teams are winning because they have better processes put in place. Don't chase AI as the solving to your problem. Fix the workflow and find and identify a workflow that AI can help you identify and fix. AI isn't magic. Again, it's only going to amplify what you already have. So my biggest recommendation is instead of applying AI on a process that is broken or not working well for your team today, apply it in a place that actually is working really well. So you can get more out of it and release the humans on your team to do additional work that AI is not scalable or is not best used for. 4 reality checks that you got to keep in mind wherever you're going to place AI. One, AI will expose the truth. It's not going to fix a broken workflow for you. It's only going to shine a big seam light on how broken that process is. AI will not fix a process because a process isn't going to be fixed by duct tape or software. If you don't have a process, AI will not create it for you. Maturity is truly your multiplier. So have an honest conversation with yourself, with your leadership, with your team. Where are you at on the maturity curve? Are you more on the operational side maturity curve, or are you still early on? Then you will know which way and how much AI you should apply. And then please, please, for the love of all that is holy, start small and then go fast. Don't put AI everything. It is not fairy dust. Start with one painful workflow that you can fix. Make sure it works really well and then scale from there. Your AI outcomes will only be as strong as your actual operating model. So if your CS operating model is not cleaned up, you need to first do that before you're going to apply AI. Thank you, Andrea. That was perfect. My pause. All right, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we use this at Align, where I am currently the VP of Customer Success, and where we applied AI to really help our team drive better adoption, drive bigger expansion, remove friction, and provide scale. So I'm going to share with you today ideas that I have, and these are 3 actual live AI agents that are working for my team today. In general, we have 15 agents. You do not need 15. Again, start with 1, make sure it works, and build from there. But I wanted to create AI agents that really cut through the noise and help my team on areas that, again, already work, and we can build from there. We wanted to make sure that every feature, every flow, every decision ladders up into one thing. Our job is driving customers' outcomes at scale without burning our team. That's what I decided where to put the AI. The first AI that we built was really meant to help us drive adoption. If customers don't adopt, then nothing else really matters. That's it, period. We've got nothing to discuss. But if we help them focus on making onboarding more fun and more contextual and more human, we can get that to scale. If we can get that to scale, we can build on expansion. A land and expand motion will only work if you have momentum. If you've lost it, there's nowhere to go. We engineered a handoff that really helps our team between AM and CSMs be better prepared as we are onboarding customers, as we're taking them on a customer success journey without having to have multiple reports and internal meetings and Slack communication and CRM fields completed. We wanted to automate that. And then we wanted to make sure that we are automating admin work. So admin work is a lot of time where CSMs spend majority of their day instead of spending it in front of customers. These are usually things where you already have an existing playbook of how to do the admin work. That would be my recommendation, is probably the first place you want to apply AI. If you've got a playbook for it, that means you have a process. That means it's documented, it is scalable, it is repeatable, and AI can help you that right there. And then we wanted to make sure that we are thinking about consistency both for our teams and for our customers. Wanted to make sure that we're thinking about high, mid, touch, and low customers without having to hire a small army of CSM. So our meeting AI prep truly takes contextual information from previous meetings, from previous notes, and helps us prepare for meetings so that we get a brief prior to the meeting, helps us make sure that our agendas are up to speed, customers get agenda in advance, and we continuously move forward in our customer journey. Our CS to AE handoff helps us stay in that cycle of what happened during the sales cycle. How do we move into the success cycle? Remove any mystery games, remove any barriers whatsoever, really focusing on our customers' goals, their buying triggers, and what would success look like for them. And then we wanted to make sure that, again, the different tiers of customers we have get just enough touches from us throughout the process, whether it's automated nudges, personalization email, making them sure that what the information they're getting is relevant, not coming from a bot. Think of AI not as a software, but as a co-pilot and a companion on your team that helps you deliver results every single day. All right, so here's my map for you. Think of me as Dora, and I'm going to hand you this map as you go on your journey. Step one, think small, think simple. Ship one AI-powered workflow from end to end. This isn't a proof of concept. This is not a whiteboard session you're working for. Think of an actual workflow that will help move the needle. Don't chase 15. Choose one. Ship one, measure, track, then make sure that it's working for you, for your team, for your customer. Then you can scale it up, scale it down, and then move to the next one. Make sure that you map your operating system. If you don't have a map of your workflow on paper, AI cannot save it for you. It cannot create it for you. You really need to start from a place where you give AI information. You cannot throw AI on a broken process and hope that it will fix it. It's like asking your busted car that's not running to run on autopilot. It's just going to crash a lot faster. So map out the process, write it down, figure out if it's the right process for you to tackle today. Do you have clean data? Do you have clarity on the process? If not, tackle something else. And for all that is holy, again, please, please, please measure your impact. All the work that you're doing, treat as if your CEO or CFO is watching over your shoulder. Track out outcomes. What were you trying to achieve? What were your starting points? How did you measure? Did it improve? If so, by how much? Did that meet your expectation? Did it not meet your expectation? Did it blow your expectation? Did it do things you didn't expect it to do? Run it like an experiment. Share information. Not only are you creating leverage, you're creating powerful moments for your team and for the rest of the company. So please use AI not as a magic fairy dust. This isn't theater, but it is a tool that can help you become so much better and so much more powerful when used right, when used correctly in the right places.
Thank you, LeeRon. All right, we're going to do another poll. So we're just curious to hear from all of you. What AI tools are you currently using? Are you using LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity? Are you using LLMs and custom ChatGPTs? Or are you using agents? And you can select multiples if you're using both LLMs, custom ChatGPTs, and agents. All right, give it 5 more seconds. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, so a lot of you are using LLMs, which is great. Some of you, just under half, are using custom ChatGPTs, and then not too many of you are using agents. So that's great feedback. I just wanted to get a sense of where everyone on the call is at. You're going to learn about agents in a few minutes. But before we do that, I'm going to turn it over to Theeba. So Theeba is going to talk about digital CS at scale using AI.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Andrea and Brandon, for introducing me. Yes, so I am, as everybody said, manager at Deel, dealing with our digital customer success team. And so just as LeeRon said, I'm going to walk you through exactly how we built our agent and how it did magnify our problems that we already had and not solve them magically. So it was a really good segue into this. So let's talk about the reactive and proactive world. Most of us have been talking about and will continue to talk about moving from a reactive CS world into a proactive CS world. And I know I've triggered most of you on this call right now. And that was the same for us. We quickly realized that 40% of the time we were being reactive. And we thought through ideas and tasks that we can take from our CSM's plates and get rid of it. But where would they go? Do they go to another team? Do we hire another team to deal with those tasks? So what we did is we built a simple AI agent to handle the noise, not to replace our CSMs, but to just handle the noise so our team could actually build the value that we needed from them. LeeRon also mentioned quality and impact. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about quality because that's always the first questions that I always get. Nora now manages 500 queries a week and still maintains 95% CSAT score. Woohoo! Because customers want fast, accurate answers for simple requests. And Nora delivers exactly that. The simple how-tos, the repetitive questions that your team is just stuck answering instead of talking to customers about renewals, Nora does those for them. And this is where the impact really shows up because by removing the low value work, we improved our proactivity by 20%, which is huge. That means 20% of the time your CSMs have more time to talk renewals, to do targeted outreach and building proactive workflows and reduce that churn that we all care about. And that's the lift that most of us care about, most CS leaders want. The best part is that you can do the same thing. And the important thing is to start small. You don't need a big team or a big project to start building your own AI agent. And I'm going to walk you through the same 5-step playbook that we used to launch Nora and get quick wins. So here we have step 1, find the noise. So what we did is so this is basically the most important step. There's no engineering involved. And what we did is we spent about a week auditing our inbound emails and we tagged all of them. We identified our top 5 to 10 questions. We didn't go too crazy to start with, that always have the exact same answer and always have the same questions from our customers. Then what we did is we wrote down all of these questions and the answers for that. And this document, we called it the brain of our first AI agent, so our Nora. So this is going to be the little brain for Nora. Lean on your CSMs because your CSMs are frontline. They know the answers. They have all of the knowledge to build this. Once you have the brain, now it's time to partner with your engineering team. So now it's step 2. Go to the engineering team with a very clear and simple ask. You don't need a complex project. All you need is pattern matching that detects those high volume questions and pulls the matching answers from your document. Keeping the scope really tight gets you very fast and measurable wins and avoids delays. So don't overcomplicate things. Start very small and start very simple. And then what we did, and this is for me the most important step, is to build your playground, because without testing it, you don't want to roll it out and have customers coming back to you saying, hey, this didn't answer my question and this is not the right answer. So we created Nora in a private Slack channel first. Our engineering team called it the playground. And what this allowed us to do is this allowed our team to interact and test in a safe environment. We pasted real custom emails into the channel and to see how Nora actually responded. Is she accurate? Is the tone correct? Did she miss something? And this is basically your first line of testing. I basically added all of my new CSMs who wanted to learn about Deel and about the product into this channel because it was the fastest way for them to learn and also easiest for them to get answers from Nora also. And so a Slack playground basically speeds up the AI testing and makes it very visible to everyone in that channel, which helps build trust between your CS team, your engineering team, and Nora, and any leadership team that is looking at the impact and the results. But most importantly, what it does is it helps and it creates a real-time fix loop with your engineering team and the AI team. So our engineering team was always in there answering all of the questions. If we said that, hey, this, Nora did not answer this accurately, here's what I would have wanted her to answer, they in real time can be fixing this on the go. And that's the reason why this playground was really, really important to have. Step 4, the human feedback loop. Quality stays high because of these 3 guardrails. First, get the tone right. Nora needs to sound like your brand. Second, you have to have CSMs to give you feedback. Every response reviewed makes the system smarter. And third, audit everything. The AI, the CSM, and the client conversation. They all sit in the same place so that we can track patterns and tighten quality over time. We also had our CS ops team do weekly deflection rates and escalation fails, etc., of Nora, so that we knew, is she trending positively or is she not doing so great, and what do we need to fix. And then the last step is to go live. Woohoo! When you launch, you need a clear logic for confidence. What we did is we used AI as basically AI CSAT scoring. If the score is perfect, and only if it's 100%, Nora sends the full draft to the customers. If not, what she does is she actually drafts it, but also flags at the very bottom internally and explains why it may not be enough. So now, even if she fails, she actually is giving your CSM a little bit more help so that your CSMs can now step in as the second escalation point and have an easier time answering the question, because she's done the heavy lifting and all your CSM needs to do is make the judgment call and reply back to your CSMs. So the customer never sees a weak answer. Again, start with one channel, prove it, then scale it. The last thing I will leave you with is, and if you take anything from this session, is that the best AI does not replace your best people, it protects them. Start with your biggest simple problem, not your hardest to smart one. Once you remove the noise, your team can really show up stronger, healthier, have more time on their plate. They can be more strategic and do what you ask of them, and have the actual bandwidth to actually grow your customers. And I can't wait to meet all of your agents soon. That's all from me.
Amazing. Thank you, Theeba. I love how you treated Nora as like a member of your team.
She
right?
is.
And trained her and iterated on that process and really took such a simple thing, right? Which is like, what are the top questions that our CSMs are getting asked over and over again? Can we flag those, right? Can we track what those are? What are our common answers to those questions? And then you involved your engineering team, right? Iterated until you felt comfortable sort of releasing Nora to the wild. Have you, out of curiosity, have you heard anything from your customers? Do they know that they're interacting with Nora?
I wish I screenshotted some of these things, and I maybe I'll put them in our Reddit thing. But a lot of the time, it makes my heart really happy when I see someone say, "Thank you so much, Nora, for helping us," because a lot of them do really think that Nora is one of our CSMs, which is honestly, like, thanks to our engineering team that does such a great job with training her in a human tone and human voice. And the continuous Slack channel is what helped with that. We really, really, I think it was like 3 to 4 months of continuously giving feedback on every Nora response. And now she's doing her thing and we hardly need to monitor her. But that lift from our CSMs and the engineering team is what helped build Nora to be super effective.
Amazing. Yeah, it's like gaining another member of your team. I love that.
Exactly. Yes, Leah, you do.
All right. We're going to switch now to talking about AI agents to increase productivity. So I'd like to welcome Kate.
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here. And LeeRon and Theeba, those were great. I agreed with so much that you said. So very excited to kind of finish this up and level set on what is an AI agent? How do we use it? What makes a good agent versus a bad agent, which you both talked about and gave such good examples for. And then what's a framework you can use to actually start adopting this in your own company? So with that, let's dive in. All right. So I will also give a heads up. I normally give like big workshops on this over an hour. We're going to compress that since we've already seen such good real life examples and we're going to have Q&A. We're going to compress that into 3 slides here. So feel free to screenshot. Feel free to follow up with questions. This conversation can keep going. First of all, where do agents fit in your stack and what are they? Big question that people have. So first, I want to go over what an LLM is. I think most people, based on the poll that we saw, and I thought ahead of time, probably use an LLM. That's ChatGPT, it's Claude, it's Gemini. It's a large language model, which basically means you ask it something, it answers. You can have a conversation with it. Most people use them like assistants. I'm a millennial. I see a lot of millennials using it almost as Google search. Like, where do I go? How do I do this? Yeah, it totally. Watch Gen Z use it or Gen Alpha. They actually use it in much more interesting ways, but I will not go off on that tangent. For today's purposes, LLM, you probably use it. It's very broad. It's an assistant you can yell whatever at, and whatever is going to come back. You did not train this thing. It is not trained on your own company's data. It is going to give you whatever it thinks you want to hear and what the best answer is. So we love LLMs. You're probably familiar with them. Let's move on. Custom GPT is actually not something I personally use a lot or build a lot for people, but I put in here because I see a lot of CS and CSMs really loving custom GPTs, which I think of as an assistant with more parameters. It still has that kind of chatbot feeling where you ask, it answers, except it's more accurate because it's grounded in your company's data, rules, or voice. You have a little bit more control. However, with these two things, and like with most co-pilots, what you're not seeing, what the differences between them and agents, they're not doing work autonomously on your behalf. So, AI agent, we can think of it as a very focused digital worker with one job. It autonomously handles one task very well. You use it for doing repetitive, narrow tasks. Luckily, a lot of those repetitive, narrow tasks are what CSMs hate doing. Prepping for things, updating things, doing some research. They get so overwhelmed in their book of business, they forget doing those things. And then because they hate doing it, it slows them down a lot. So that's one reason I am so bullish on AI agents right now. Before we move on to the next slide, one thing I will note about AI agents, you're probably hearing a lot of hype about them. It's a trend. It is trendy. You guys are probably getting emails from your CEOs saying things like, we need an agent. And your question is, for what? It's a trend. This is still very early. They can be very brittle. And what I mean by that is one job. Make sure they have one well-defined job to do, or they might break. As it matures, we're probably going to see this evolve, but I just want to make that very clear. Let's go ahead to the next slide. So when do you use an agent and when should you not even touch it? You want to use it in a very narrow, defined, repeatable process. Think about a job description. Think about how Theeba said that she was working with engineering and had to so carefully scope it out ahead of time. This is the part we're talking about. It needs to be very well defined. This is what LeeRon was also saying about this is not going to fix your processes. It will make it worse if they're bad. You need to find something that is working well, that is a defined process, that is repeatable and doesn't have a lot of flexibility. It does one thing. So 95% of AI pilots are failing to deliver measurable business outcomes. This is a quote from MIT. And the reason for that largely is because people are not doing the work that Theeba did when she started hers. They don't start out with mapping this very, very specific opportunity. LeeRon did the same with hers and how to solve it. So here's an example of a bad agent on the right, the green one, and a good agent, the pink one. Bad agent, churn agent. This is not a good one. This is way too broad. This is something you'll get an email from, let's say from investors, stakeholders, CEO, that says, we need a churn agent and we need it now. And you're like, there is a million reasons for churn and our cancellation reasons aren't even up to date. What data do I get? This one is doomed, absolutely doomed, terrible fit for an agent. Whereas another one, I could do 1,000 examples here. There are tons of reasons for churn. Find one of those reasons, whether it's competitor risk, whether it's point of contact turnover, something that you have a very defined source for, and then the agent can do the job of doing something like detecting competitor mentions in a same place. The turnover one, some agents can look in LinkedIn and see jobs changing and things changing around and doing some research, and then It does the work of, okay, researches that, it sees the change, finds the source, it alerts the CSM, but it's not just a workflow. It doesn't just alert, it can make recommendations. It can say who might be the next best contact, or for a competitor risk, coach the CSM on exactly what to do and who to meet with to ahead of time get ahead of that risk. And this is a really fast, segmented way to target a proven churn risk. So I just really want you all to think about broad, bad, narrow, good for agents. And let's go ahead to the next slide. All right, so I have a framework. I hate the word framework, but people like processes. So we're gonna throw one at you. You're welcome to screenshot it. It's very similar in some parts to what LeeRon was saying as well, and it follows the guidelines of what MIT recommends for AI adoption, but it's adapted specifically for customer success. So I call this the MAKR transformation staircase because you're moving up in the steps. Most customer success teams I'm talking to are not, they usually are doing LLMs, they skip number one, and they dive into number two, activate the AI pilots without having measurable business outcomes ahead of time. So I think it's really important to at least check out this framework or another like it and have a program approach. So first, what you want to do is map the AI opportunity. Conduct a structured assessment and identify low-hanging, high-impact areas that free up your CSMs to do what they do best. Theeba and LeeRon both said the same thing. And that is what Theeba was doing, looking at those emails, doing the audit, all of that. So really do your research ahead of time. Second, activate the pilot. Focus on very narrow pilots solving one problem, measuring those problems, and iterating on them, such as the example we just saw before with the testing in the Slack. Once you have an AI pilot that has a measurable business outcome, whether it's efficiency, time saved, or impact on your NRR, whatever it is, once you feel confident in that, you can start scaling up those operations. So key up AI operations, where you're actually codifying operationalizing what works. It sounds like LeeRon's team is actually in this, which is impressive. And scaling across the entire organization, or starting to adopt more, or having AI agents weaving in with each other. But this is a sophisticated stage that not a lot of people are at this time. Four, I don't know anyone at this. If you do, tell me. Where eventually we can free ourselves up in our CSMs in a way where we can start using these technologies to reimagine what it means to be successful for our customers and our CSMs and what work looks like. This is not where most companies are at. I would focus your time on number one and number two right now. And so with that, hand it back to you, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Kate. I love that. I love the step-by-step approach. I know when you and I met, I use a lot of custom chat GPTs, right? I love them. They're trained on the data, right? What I want to do. They've got the context. They've got my templates, etc. And I know you really challenged me to start using agents, right? Which is the next step. Like if I'm doing these things on repeat and the outcome is always the same, right? Then that can be an agent. So I love this step-by-step approach, right? We're going to start small. I'm just going to go back and I'm going to summarize a little bit of what we heard. So LeeRon talked about, good data and good processes, right? That like AI is not fairy dust. We can't just sprinkle it on. It will not just magically solve what is broken today, right? And then all three of you talked about very specific processes, narrowing, right, the focus. Kate, I love your example of, a churn agent is not going to be a good agent because there are so many different reasons for churn and they're not well documented or well understood, right? But could you take just one of those reasons and then train that agent to spot risk signals around that reason, such as champion turnover or such as competitor searching, right? So really great, like specific examples of how to use AI today, but most importantly, really starting with a great process, framework, right? Good data, and a really narrow approach, and then iterating on that until you have it in a place you can essentially release it into the wild, right? And then continue to iterate on it and to build on it so it eventually becomes part of your operations. I love that. Okay. So quick reminder, make sure you put your LinkedIn, in the chat so we can all connect with one another. You can also put your questions in the Google form. So I'm going to actually read out some of the questions that participants have submitted in advance, but I'm sure all of you have 1,000,001 questions now, right? For Kate, for Theeba, for LeeRon, you can put them into this form and they will go into the CS Insider site and answer them over the next week or so. You can also connect with them directly on LinkedIn. Of course, you can connect with me. I'm happy to have you as part of my network. But let's transition into some questions. So, got about 15 minutes left. So these are questions that participants submitted. This one is from Angel. Angel asked how to balance company expectations of AI and its implementation with the reality of the existing capabilities. This is such a good one, right? Company thinks, oh, just do this, right? And AI is only able to do this, right? So how do you manage those expectations? So LeeRon, what are your thoughts on this?
All right, before I'm going to answer that, I'm going to give everyone a fair warning. I come with an entire tray of spices when I reply to this following answer. Please, the only way to reply to it is be the adult in the room. Let's put this into perspective, folks. You need to reply back and plainly say, where exactly is it that we want to start with? If you're the adult in the room, say something like, what's the expectation? What are we trying to fix here? AI, in using buzzwords like AI strategy, I think I'm going to just start a lottery ticket. And every time someone says that, I'm going to scratch something and maybe win. AI strategy isn't going to fix something. Break it down simple. If a manager comes to me and says, LeeRon, where are you going to put your AI strategy? I say, hold on, Bob. Let's break this down into things I can talk about. I'm going to be the adult in the room. What are we actually talking about? What is the one thing that we believe I should automate? What is the process, X process, that if we do, will take us into Y results? How do we do that? If I'm going to automate putting notes into HubSpot, great. That will save my team how many hours per week equals how many dollars in salaries equals how much on the maturity level scale of happiness of my team. You can talk about that too. Make it measurable and make it real. AI should really not be something that you're babysitting or spending more time working on. It has to be the coworker that helps you do your job better. So if you're applying it in a place where it's taking too much time for you and your team to use it, it's wrong. And feel free to tell others I said so or send them my way. I'll help you be the adult in the room. But we gotta just talk about it real. You just gotta talk about it real.
I love that, LeeRon. I love how you preface this with my answer is going to be spicy. And I mean, you just cut right to the heart of it, right? Like, you really need to understand what are you looking to accomplish with AI? Why? How are you going to measure that, right?
If the answer is the board says we have to have AI, tell them we do. It's called Zoom meeting and it gives notes and it drops it into my inbox. Just reply that way. We already have AI. If they're asking you how you're using AI in your team, then the word strategy has to come out of the conversation. It has to be practical. What system, what process you're actually trying to automate to make better.
I love that. I love that. Such great advice. All right. Our next question. This one is from Eric Hart. For an AI interested team serving an AI reluctant client base, what's your strategy and selling points? Oh, and this one's for Theeba. Sorry.
I love this question so much. So it depends. I think I have more questions for you before I answer them, but I mean, depends on how or what your agent is doing, right? Is your agent doing something internal for you, or is this agent, or is it not even an agent? Is it actually a custom GPT that's built into your product that you are asking your clients to use? So I'll speak from my experience of Nora. So we already operate obviously with an AI CSM in the mix, and most clients don't even notice it, which is exactly the point. We don't lead with AI, we lead with outcomes. That's my biggest take on this, we don't say, hey, I'm trying to sell AI. No, I'm trying to sell you this outcome. We're going to use AI to minimize the repetitive tasks on your team. Did I accidentally raise my hand? I'm so sorry. Sorry. And if the client gives you feedback or asks, we're really transparent about it. We explain that the support layer that they're experiencing is given to them faster, so that they can have all of the how-tos and technical questions answered much faster, so that you can use our CSMs to do all of the relationship building, etc. And they can work on complex high-touch work. Yeah, I mean, the way that I talk to clients, and if they complain about it, is that, hey, you get the speed and the accuracy with Nora, and if you need something more complex, we have our human CSM that can jump in and do any of the emotion-led conversations that the customer needs.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah, you're leading with the benefits, right? To your customers. And there are lots of benefits, right? We often hear customers say, they're waiting on answers from their CSM. Well, this gives them instant answers. Love that. For our next question, so this one's from Deel. What framework do you use to track impact of AI initiatives beyond adoption? So this is a question for Kate.
Yeah, so I think it comes down to outcome. And for this question, I think it's probably talking about adoption of the CSMs. Like, are my CSMs actually using this thing I'm testing and piloting? Which I think is kind of a rough one to have as your only, like, they should all be using it, but people do adopt at their own pace. I think a much better use is actually evaluating the performance of the agent itself and its own impact, such as, has this saved my team time? Is a huge one. So if you do the mapping properly in the first step, you understand, hey, this task of updating the HubSpot notes is performed 60% of the time it's supposed to be, and it takes each CSM 10 minutes. So if you're able to get those numbers, then you have an agent that, let's say, helps them update the notes or automatically updates the notes. You can calculate the time saved as well as the number of notes present. Something like that to show that it is making your team more efficient. Now, I do think adoption is important. I just do recognize personally that different team members might have different, there's usually, our laggards, and then there's the people that do it immediately, and then there's everyone else. And I don't think it's a fair assessment of a pilot to immediately assess it only on adoption. I think you want to be looking at those actual outcomes that matter most for your business.
That's great. Thank you so much, Kate. Yeah, we want to look at the outcomes, right? So it's not so much about adoption and usage as much as is the agent or is the AI that we built actually achieving what we were hoping to achieve? Is it saving us time? Is it saving us effort? Are we getting customers answers faster, etc.? Love that.
Yeah, I would also add A/B testing is your best friend too. If you have the size of a team where you can afford to A/B test against, even if it's different CSMs or different teams, that is also really helpful.
Great point. Love that. I think we have time for one or two more questions. So this question's for LeeRon. As a CSM on the front lines, what tools would you begin with and why? And this is from Taylor.
I love this question, Taylor, and I was thinking about answering it, and now I'm going to disappoint you. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't know anything about your day-to-day work and what you do and how you do. So me answering it would be literally saying AI strategy, and I refuse to do that. So if you want a real true answer about where you should start, the answer is it depends. If you want to, again, you all are using a tool, whether it's Google Meet or Zoom or anything else, you already have a note taker that's in there, so you already have AI. If you're thinking about actually applying an AI agent in the work that you do, I think it depends. Depends on where you are, it depends on the platforms you have, it depends on the tool and access. Could you start with a meeting prep like I did? Maybe. It depends if you have a really good call recorder and a really good system of taking notes and drop it into CRM. It might not work for you. Could you start with a handoff between AEs and CSM? Maybe if you have a really good process today that is documented and it exists. So it's hard for me to answer which one. As I said in my presentation, find a workflow that is super documented, that is working today, that maybe by applying AI, you could get it to work faster, better. It would scale you, free you up time. That's where you should apply it. If you want a specific diagnosis for your specific use case, hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to talk about how that works and where you should start. But it's like coming to the doctor and asking for a prescription saying, I have a headache. I don't actually know what's causing the headache, so I am not going to give you a prescription that might actually cause issues. Sorry to disappoint.
All good, LeeRon. Thank you so much. With 2 minutes left, you know what? I think I'll just wrap here. Thank you so much for listening, for tuning in, for putting your questions in the chat. I saw lots of questions in the chat, conversations happening. Thank you for submitting your questions. I'll put this slide back up. If you would like to submit a question, elaborate on a question, feel free to put your questions in the form here. Of course, you can reach out to any of us on LinkedIn. We're happy to have a conversation. As you can tell, we're all very passionate about AI, passionate about customer success, the use cases of AI in this profession. So thank you all for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. And one other quick thing before you leave, we have an event tomorrow. We'd love for you to join as well. Our next event,
Yeah.
we're going to continue our series of events we're running in November. So I just pasted that in the chat. So please also register for that one and expect the post with the recording and the AMA in our community, hopefully by tomorrow, where you can continue asking your questions for these panelists. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, panelists, for giving your expertise and sharing an hour out of your busy schedules to run this session with us.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
all. Bye.